Hello and welcome to the show. This week's FailRace versus the community was B-Class cars with 4-cylinder engines. Our first race was at the Camino Viejo circuit. There was a little bit of lag going on, which will be a theme for most of the evening. This will be the best race for lag-related nonsense. Unfortunately, there was still some. As we run down to the hairpin for the first time, there was a rather big shunt further back. It's quite a narrow sort of section of track down there. It's very easy if somebody ends up out a little bit wide to scrape a wall and then get flung across the road in front of everybody. It's a bit of a nasty place down there. I think 4 or so cars were quite heavily broken in that. The rest of us got away quite cleanly. I'd spent quite a lot of the opening lap side by side with a Honda. I finally get the position and he just runs out of grip, couldn't quite carry the momentum around the outside. The Fiat in front of me goes for a dive, trying to get past the MX-5, doesn't make the move stick, and then I try to go around the outside of the Fiat. Unfortunately, my Lotus just didn't quite have the speed. It wasn't quite fast enough, especially with the hills here. The rest of this track is not too bad. It's not huge long straights, but up the hills, the Lotus was struggling a little bit. However, I do a nice cutback on the final corner, get to the inside of the Fiat. Almost managed to get the MX-5 as well. Couldn't quite make that one stick. It was worth a try, getting 2 in one go. However, the MX-5 runs a little wide out of turn 1, and I can get the position there. Further up, there was an Integra sat in 3rd place. It didn't last long, as Datsun gets brave and goes around the outside. That's a tough place to do an overtake around the outside of that corner. Quite a nasty corner, that one. If you clip the inside, very easy to end up rolling a car. The Honda CRZ finds a way past as well. Integra's trying to come back at the final corner. doesn't quite make the move stick, and the Honda has the position for now. Camino is not the easiest of tracks to overtake on, in all honesty. There are a couple of spots, the best spot being this turn down here. Probably one of the better spots for overtaking around here, but it's not that easy a track. The MX-5's having a look around the outside of the Fiat, can't quite do it. The Skyline is struggling a little bit for grip. Fiat's trying to get alongside him, but yeah, this is not the easiest of tracks to overtake. There's not really that many sort of long braking zones. There's quite a few quite tight, quite narrow corners. This is another good or one of the better overtaking spots. I shouldn't say good. It's not that great of an overtaking spot. Fortunately for the Fiat, it's not too much, not too tricky, as the Skyline struggles and ends up out wide. Mazda's now trying to have a look. Yeah, this is not an ideal place to overtaking through there. If you can get a good run out of here, maybe into the final corner, as the Mazda's trying to get a good drive up the hill, and sure enough, the Mazda is just not quite quick enough. I thought he was about to get out the inside there, just couldn't quite do it. And then there's a slightly flyy Mazda. Mazda does get up the inside halfway around the corner, but doesn't quite have the acceleration of the Skyline to get the position as of yet, and the Skyline can defend into turn 1. And this group continued like this for some time, really. The Mazda still trying to find a way past the Skyline, again having a look into the hairpin, and it was the Skyline just out-braking himself a little bit too much that allowed the MX-5 to get back past, and then by the time they come to run up the hill, the Skyline just a little bit too far back. It wouldn't be a versus the community race at Camino without somebody falling over, and sure enough, the Datsun that was sat in 3rd kindly obliged, promoted me up to 3rd, and Sylvia up to 4th. That curb there is horrible. I was surprised we didn't see more cars fall over on that one. It's a vicious curb that has claimed many a vehicle in versus the community. At the front, and it was a Scion FRS that had led pretty much the entire race, and throughout the, I think it was 8 laps, it might have been 8 laps, something like that, of the race, the MX-5 in 2nd was catching every single lap, but he was only by tenths of a second, and in the end just ran out of time. He got quite close on the final lap here, but yeah, just ran out of time in that one. So it was a victory for the Scion, a 2nd place for an MX-5, a 2nd generation one, so good choice of car there, and it was 3rd place for my Lotus Esprit. And next race, and we moved on to the Tsukuba circuit, a much easier place for the old overtaking. The first lap can be quite chaotic here. It's a very wide and you don't have a huge run into turn 1, so sure enough everybody is 3 wide through here, which is, I'll be honest, quite scary being involved and watching that. It was a little bit laggy in this race and things go a little bit crazy into the hairpin as an Escort gets spun around. Amazingly, I managed to escape all of it by going all the way around the outside of everything and nothing got near my Lotus, which I was quite pleased with, in all honesty. Me and the Datsun both somehow managed to survive all of that chaos, and Datsun on the inside, me escaping around the outside. Yeah, I'll take that as a Polo has tried to fight off the Datsun. Yeah, then there's more chaos further back. It was that was a very, very hectic hairpin back there with all sorts of craziness going on. There would be a large train of cars as an Escort's gone very wide. That's not where you want to be going. In the middle of the pack, but it wouldn't last for too long. There was some real lag problems with this race. I don't know what's going on with the service today. It was quite dodgy. A Renault 5 here trying to find a way past a Focus. Now those Renault 5s are monumentally quick in a straight line. I was very tempted to run my one because they are stupidly fast in a straight line. It does help when the Focus is quite poorly, but you'll see the Renault 5s will fly away and then everything gets all laggy and weird. The downside with the Renault 5 is that it is horribly understeery, which is why I chose not to run mine, but they are incredibly quick when it comes to a straight line. Yeah, now you see the sort of laggy problems that we have going on. The MX-5 is trying to go around the outside of, I think it was quite a poorly focus. Then there's all sorts of silliness. I don't. Unfortunately, yeah, this race was slightly ruined by lag and cars doing rather strange things. I was trying to make my way through the field, managed to go round the outside at the Dunlop Bridge past a Polo. That's a pretty tough manoeuvre to get done there. My Lotus was quite a good car, but it was rather understeer. Again, I managed to build a car that's quite understeer even for me. So yeah, I was struggling a little bit with the understeer. I mentioned the poor lag. There were an awful lot of broken cars because of it. It didn't stop them from racing. I think this is for 12th between two rather poorly hatchbacks, and in front of them there were some other rather poorly cars. There was kind of like a bit of a train going on of cars that could all see each other. Nobody was really ever making any ground, and everybody's car was quite badly broken. These two were probably the closest cars on track as we come down the back straight. The Focus either didn't have the straight line speed or had a worse condition engine than the Volkswagen. I'm not entirely sure which. The replay telemetry is all over the place, trying to keep track of damage. So yeah, it was more of a matter of who had the less broken car. That tended to dictate the order, if you like. The only real race that I found going on for most of this was for, I think this is for 4th, between a Renault 5 and the Volkswagen Polo. The Renault 5 very quick at a straight line, even on a track like this that only has one real straight. Renault 5 tries to get to the inside, but it's very hard to overtake. With a Renault 5 that has tremendous understeer in this corner. The Polo has so much grip it can just keep around the outside of the final turn. Again, the Renault can't really have a dive into turn 1 because he's not quite got the handling, and the Polo can deal with everything the Renault is throwing at it. Again, the Renault will be very quick down this sort of small straight, but doesn't really have the handling to do very much. Even the Polo getting slightly lost at the hairpin. That's not where you want to be going. The Renault's not going to have the grip to go around the outside, and sure enough, he doesn't even bother trying. He knows he's going to lose too much time trying to get that manoeuvre done. If you can be quick through here, you might be able to get to the inside at the hairpin, but the Renault just doesn't have that quarter. It can't carry that speed through the corner, and the Polo can keep the position at the front, and it would be a Fiat 131 Abarth that would take the victory, and take a pretty damn comfortable victory over the rest of the field. I was catching second, and I caught second with a lap to go before promptly falling off the road, and I would end up falling back. So it would be victory for the Fiat. A Datsun would take second place, and my Lotus would get another podium in third place. Yeah, a little bit disappointed I fell off the road on the final lap of that one, and it was a shame with so much lag going on. Our third and final race would go to the Alps circuit. I talked about Camino being quite a hard place to overtake on. This is probably the hardest of the racetracks to overtake on. because there is very, very little in the way of braking zones for any of these corners. It is a very fast track. It is an incredibly wide track. It's the Alps Club Circuit, by the way. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, this is a tough place to overtake on. I was getting quite brave trying to go around the outside of quite a laggy MR2 and had no idea where he was. It was a little crazy. I turned into that corner hoping that lag wasn't about to suddenly kill me. A couple of cars in front ran a little bit wide, bumping a wall. Sure enough, I got at the inside of the BMW. The Celica is coming back onto the track, and I'm stuck trying to go the long way around. BMW thinks about following me. He changes his mind and doesn't quite go with that one. And the problem with the Alps, the reason why this is such a hard place to overtake on, is you can pretty much hold it too wide through every corner. Some corners you will be at a bit of a disadvantage having to go around the outside, but then it'll put you on the inside for the next one. So you can often go half a lap before you actually get your overtaking manoeuvre done. Very, very easy for that to happen. There really is no particularly large braking zones here. Lots of cars running wide, and the only one there that stayed on the track is almost 3 wide through the next corner. You can kind of get away with 3 wide at some places on this track for longer periods of time than on normal tracks. That's just the nature of this particular layout. The Renault Megane is now coming back, trying to find a way past. The Renault actually had pretty good straight line speed. I was surprised. I didn't expect the Megane to be particularly quick in a straight line. There's also lots of different lines through that final corner. It's one of those corners I'm not a particular fan of. I can never figure out quite what's the best way through it. And by the looks of all the different various lines that are going on, neither can anybody else. The Nissan gets to the inside of, I think it was at the BMW that he was getting past. Yes, it was, into turn 1. Turn 1 is probably your most conventional overtaking space. If you were like, it's the only place where you ever have any real sort of braking going on. This race was to be another one that was quite badly affected by lag. There was quite a lot of poorly cars. The 2 leaders at one point got lag killed and would be dropped through the field, and a few other cars were broken because of lag. Again, it was a little bit of a shame. The MRS there that they go past, that was one of the cars that was lag broken. The Megane trying to find a way past the Celica, both of them escape the track, which a lot of people were finding themselves running wide there. The MRS that was horribly broken found its way back past briefly and then has absolutely no straight line speed. Megane's thinking about going around the outside of the Celica, doesn't quite have the grip. Celica's off escaping the track a little bit more. Megane's trying to get to the inside. The Toyota is there just in case, but there's such a poorly engine, I think, that it had absolutely no straight line speed. Then we have some more lag going on between the Toyota and an Esprit, and everything gets a little bit unhappy. I think the Megane is eventually just going to outpower the Celica. I'm presuming that the Toyota had some damage. I think most cars from third back had some form of damage on them. It was that kind of a race with all of the lag going on. So yeah, the Megane's eventually got himself past the Celica, and that was about all of the footage that was actually usable and not either of laggy nonsense going on. It was a shame. So this can produce some pretty good racing at this track because it's very hard to overtake. You just spend a lot of time side by side normally. Anyway, it would be a Scion FRS that would probably be gifted the win, and I would be gifted a second place after the 2 leaders were lag crashed into, and the Nissan Silvia would end up in third. 3 podiums with the Esprit, not too bad. We were actually setting very similar lap times, me and the Scion, by the end of that race, but we were too far apart for me to actually do anything about it. But yeah, there we go. That is it for this one. It is a shame about the lag. The first race was all right, and then everything went downhill from there. The next FailRace versus the community shall be on Forza 5, hoping the servers will be a little bit more stable. We will be running open D-class cars, so you can run whatever you want in D-class. I'm going to say, as I normally do, please no leaderboard cars for the top drivers. You know, if you're going in expecting, or you've won these races, you've come very high up in these races in the past, please don't use the leaderboard cars. Be creative, turn up in something a little bit more interesting. If you want to sign up, then you can go to our forums. The race will be taking place on Thursday, the 23rd of October, starting at 7 p.m. British summertime. But that is it for today. Oh, the link in the description. That's where I'll put for the forums. Yeah, go there. That is it for today. So thank you very much for watching. And until next time, goodbye.